Aaron Boyd, informative speech. Most of us have played video games at some point in our lives. Some of you may have owned or even remember one of the very first video game consoles. People often think of video games as a waste of time and money, but many studies today show that casual gaming can significantly reduce stress levels. Video games got their start in the early 1970s. As the years passed and technology advanced, video games and the systems they were played on have evolved. In recent years, several games have been marketed to promote learning and activity. Video games have come a long way in the 39 years they've existed. The very first coin-operated video game machine was the Galaxy game. It was installed at a student union at Stanford University in September of 1971. In that same year, Nutting Associates bought the game, Computer Space, from Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney. They manufactured 1,500 of these game machines. This game proved to be hard to master and thus was unsuccessful, but being the first commercially sold and mass-produced video game, it started what would eventually become something you could find in almost every home. In 1972, Bushnell and Dabney founded Atari Inc. and released Pong, the duo's second video game, which was surprisingly successful. Atari sold 19,000 of these machines. And Pong was just a game. It was based on table tennis where the players would bounce the ball back and forth across the screen and try to score points against each other to win the match. And almost everybody has played a Pong-type game at some point. Over the years, technology as a whole has progressed and constantly improved. As this happened, video games have evolved along with everything else. With the success of these machines in malls and convenience stores, it was just a matter of time until people wanted to have one at home. In 1972, Magnavox released the Magnavox Odyssey. This system used cartridges which gave the player the ability to play multiple video games in the same system. The player had to tape plastic overlays over the screen of their TV, which added play fields and graphics in different colors, which allowed the player to interact with the images that the system produced. Magnavox sold 100,000 Odyssey systems in its first year and 2 million over the course of its total production life. Following the success of the Odyssey, consoles such as the Atari 2600, Intellivision, and ColecoVision were released. With the popularity and demand of video games growing, the first handheld video games were released. Though the first generations were not a very big hit, they were the precursors to handheld systems such as the Nintendo Game Boy, Sega Game Gear, Atari Lynx, and the PSP, and the Nintendo DS, which is one of the newer ones. The home console industry was dominated by a few companies, including Nintendo, Sony, and Sega, each releasing different systems throughout the years. But today's game market is dominated mainly by 3 companies, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft. In recent years, game makers have started promoting education and activity through motion sensing systems like the Nintendo Wii, with games such as the Wii Fit and Brain Age. The Nintendo Wii not only allows but encourages gamers to get up and move. With games like Wii Fit and Wii Resort, you can do anything from yoga to baseball to sword fighting and kayaking. With games like Brain Age, basically you just go through a bunch of puzzles and pictures and equations and little games to try to keep your mind sharp and focused. But more recently, Microsoft and Sony have released their own motion-controlled gaming gadgets known as Microsoft Kinect and the Sony Move. But the history of video games has been long and fun-filled. There are literally millions of video games available for many different consoles and many available to play for free online. The next time you feel stress levels start to rise, you may want to turn on a video game, pick up a controller, and relax the same way that millions of people have done for years. And thank you very much.
Is that it? You don't do it.